All right, so for today, we're going to go over areas of focus for the squat. Just some things that I think about when I squat that I notice that a lot of people don't do, or maybe they think they're doing it, but they could be doing it a little bit better. And honestly, we're just going to go over it the best that I can. And I'm just going to explain to you kind of what I do when I squat. All right, so the first two things I noticed that a lot of people don't do is squeezing the barbell and flexing your upper back. Now, generally when you squat, you want to create a upper back shelf for where you put the bar. You don't want to just pick it up, grab the bar, and then get set like here, right? You're going to be loose. So what I usually recommend people to do is, again, squeeze the bar as hard as you can. I shouldn't be seeing any space between like your fingers or the bar. You should be squeezing it pretty hard. And I want you to watch what happens when I squeeze the barbell. Every time I squeeze the bar, like I'm going to crush it, the bar lifts up, right? Almost as if like I'm trying to put pressure against the weight. The heavier the weight feels, the more you want to do that, okay? It's just one of those tricks to make heavier weight feel a little bit lighter. So if you watch here, I'm going to squeeze the bar and I'm going to create like a little wedge between my upper back and the bar and the weight. And I want to squeeze my shoulder blades together like the way that I'm bench pressing, right? So once I get the barbell on top of my shoulder blades and I'm squeezing the bar, I'm flexing my shoulder blades together, and I'm pulling the barbell apart. All right, so here I'm going to squeeze the bar. I'm going to wedge my upper back in, pick up the weight, slowly walk it out. I'm doing bands, so if you watch, it looks a little wobbly, but I want to wait until the weight settles, and I want to breathe as tight as I can into the belt, all while maintaining that same level of tightness on my upper back. So if you watch, I take a deep breath. I squeeze into the belt, I squeeze the upper back, I squeeze the barbell as I'm initiating the lift, and I don't let go until I'm done with the rep, and then I repeat that same process as if I'm only doing 3 sets of 1 versus this 1 set of 3, and I try to make every rep as perfect as possible. All right, so this is kind of like a visual of what I do with my feet. All right. Now, some people, they might just kind of pick up the weight and then just set their feet and then squat. But what I want you to try to do as you get better at squatting is like rooting your feet, or kind of like screwing your feet into the floor. And I do that by kind of emphasizing what I'm doing with my toes. I'm grabbing the carpet and I'm pulling it towards my heel. And at the same time I'm doing that, I'm driving the edge of my foot into the carpet. So rooting your foot and kind of focusing pressure on like the mid or the edge or heel, as some would say, will help you with your knees caving in. And this is an example of what people do. I think when they squat, they tend to stay kind of like loose with their technique, and then their knees kind of caves in, right? But if you root your foot and you engage with your foot and your quads as you squat, your knees just naturally track out. And here's an example of me utilizing a band, pulling my knee in. So if I'm loose at all, the band's pretty much just going to pull my knee in and I'm going to collapse. So this is like a good way for you to kind of practice flexing the outer edge of your foot just by hanging like a little band here. And as you're doing like a body weight squat or something like that, don't let the band collapse your knee. And this kind of helps you practice the technique of really rooting your foot and pushing out on your heels or the edge of your foot, and really making sure you get all that extra tension. All right, so right now I'm in my off season, so the goal is to focus on technique because I don't have any major meets, right? So at any point, if I put on too much weight where I cannot squeeze the bar, maintain the tightness of my upper back, root my foot, and really create tension and staying tight on all of these things, then technically the weight's too heavy and you just need to lower the weight. Right now is not necessarily a test of your strength. Right now is just trying to get better at the little things. So as you train, a good way for you to think about RPE is when we are competing or in competition mode, base your RPE off of your 1 rep max. When you're off season like me, base your RPE off of technique. If your technique breaks, it's an automatic RPE 10. Find a weight that's suitable, work on the technique. Don't worry about the intensity. Just focus on the technique and getting everything as clean as possible.